Hi, I'm Sherry McGill, and you're watching Lessons Learned. Welcome back to Finish It Friday. Does it look like I have maybe too much going on here? It's because I've got a lot going on here, and I've been very busy this week. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm just going to share with you right quick what I have been doing. You probably have seen by now the Totally Tulips, the tiny version that Ernest Sewell came up with. The video is out there on that with an attachment in the description box that you can print off the instructions that he made, and you're welcome to use that anytime you want. And sadly, I have no new Harriet's Journey because I've been so busy with other things, but next week. There's always next week. And let's see, we started our sew along. You probably finally found the PDF in the description box. I was a little late getting that in there. Somehow we got overlooked, and we got it in the next day, or later that day. So print this out and get started on yours. And some questions that I've had is, do we need to stay in this color range? And that's not necessary. You can use whatever color range you want. And as you noticed in the beginning of that instructional video that I made for it, I'm using that FIGO line, and it has blue and pink and all kinds of different colors in it. So I just chose to do 2 blocks like this because that's the fabric that I was cutting. And you can also reverse these if you want to do 5 in your print square and 4 in your background square. You can certainly do that. And who knows, I might change mine. I'm kind of having second thoughts about it. And these 2 won't be going next to each other. We're going to mix up the colors unless you want to go with a 2 or 3 color, well, it would be at least 3 color combination throughout your whole quilt. You're welcome to do that. Let's see, I got in this last week another Nantucket Summer mystery block. It came like the week after the second one did, so I went ahead and got that finished. And this one is called Tides, Designer Mystery by Fat Quarter Shop, and it went together really good. And on this middle star, a little trick that I do to make sure that all of these seams get lined up so that you do have your star shape right, is I start in the middle of the seam and go out in the middle and go out. That way I know that I have my star points and my star center together in such a way that all the little seams meet on the front. So that came together really good, not too hard. That one's called Tides. And then here are my other 2 that I have done. So now I can add this one to that. I think I'll go ahead and put that on here so that we can make some room on our board back here. I think my 2 little tulips will be okay where they are. So 3 blocks already. My How Time Flies. Got that done. And then, let's see, let's go ahead and take these down. I'm going to just uncover all kinds of things back here. Alright, so that one can be sat there. And then over here, I have something new. This is the Hometown Charms sew along that Pat Sloan is doing on her channel. So if you want to go over there and get in on that, this week is the first week. And the first week is a pretty big block. I think it's 18 maybe, 18 square. And we're supposed to be thinking about our hometown that we lived in, that we would call our hometown, whichever one, if it was where you were born or where you spent most of your life, whatever that case may be. think about that as we construct this quilt. And of course I live in Indiana, so I decided to do red as the background because that's a big state color here. Maybe kind of strange for a background for a house, but I think when all the quilt comes together it'll be fine. And let me get that down so you can see that a little bit closer. This wasn't hard either. It took a little while because of all those pieces of that tree. And then on my house, I'm using, and throughout the whole quilt, I'm going to be using, let's see, Robin Pickens, her Tulip Tango, I think that's what that's called. And then I have some coordinating fabrics that go with that. But by and large, the fabrics that are in here are from everywhere. It's not any set fabric line that I'm using. But I'm kind of centering around this Tulip Tango, whatever it's called. So, got that first block done. Tell you I have a lot of stuff to do, don't I? Okay, also, let's talk about this. Remember this little fiasco I had with the yellow? Well, I fixed it, and I'm going to insert the footage that I have of me fixing that and the whole story behind it. And then when I come back, I'll have this up on the wall so you can see it. So look at the footage that's coming up right now. Okay, so do you remember this disaster? How my yellow tape measure fabric was all wonky and I couldn't cut it in such a way that it looked good in here? Well, something came to me in a dream, an idea, an ingenious idea. Not really. I think some of you may have suggested this. I am going to replace that with that extra yard of backing fabric. And I think it has enough yellow in it that I'm still going to get, see how her hair, let me turn it over. Her hair is supposed to be picking up all this yellow, right? Well, this has quite a bit of yellow in it too. And I think it'll be okay. And this is a toss, kind of a every which direction fabric. There's no right or wrong way to it. It can go either of the four ways. So, but how do I get that yellow out of there without spending hours and hours? There's two seams here all the way around this panel, and I just don't have time for that. So I'm going to do a little trick here. Like I said, it's an idea that kind of came to me with the suggestions from you all and some of my own ideas. I'm just not going to pull this out, but I am going to get it out. Here's what I'm going to do. Yes, I am. I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to follow my seam, one of my lines on my ruler here, maybe like 1/8 of an inch. And I'm matching up this seam on this border right here. So I'm going to go right on that sewn line, 1/8 of an inch as best I can. And I'm cutting it out. Yes, I am. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. No worries here. So let's see. I have to kind of pull it and get it straight because I don't really want to have another crooked border on there. And you might think, well, aren't you losing some of that? Yes, I am losing a little bit, but you know what I was thinking of doing? I think I'm going to make that yellow border out of this new fabric a little bit wider. So that should take care of that. And it's not critical. really that I stick to the size that's on here. So, you know, if I wanted to make the panel smaller overall or bigger overall, I have the right to do that. So here again, I'm just leaving about 1/8 of an inch. Ta-da! Gone. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Sherry, if you put another border on there and you make it a little bit wider, aren't your outer border, which I'm going to cut this yellow off of this and reuse this. This still will be my outer border. Isn't that going to be too small? Well, it might be, but you know what I can do? I can put cornerstones at each corner, at the junction of the sides, bottom, and top. So that's what I'm going to do. So, let's go over to the sewing machine. I'm going to cut up some of this, and I'm going to cut this part off. Find me a couple of black squares, 4 black squares for the corners to add to this, and sew that back on. Ta-da! Now it's not as striking as this would have been in between those two, but I'm quite okay with it, and it makes it pull out from this border some of these spools of all these different colors that are in that fabric. So I think it's okay. As a matter of fact, it kind of looks like one cohesive border through here instead of two. And after cutting away this on both sides, I probably lost a 1/4 inch or so, but I added a 1/2 inch with this because I made it 2 inches instead of the recommended 1.5, which is what this was. So it all came out. I didn't have to do the cornerstones. It came out exact. I had to make just a tiny adjustment on one side of like 1/4 of an inch, but this border was on the width of fabric, so I could stretch it just barely a little bit. That's all I needed. And then once I starched it down, you couldn't even tell that I had done that. So I'm happy with it, and that's a load off of my mind, because this was getting ready to be one of those projects that gets thrown in the corner and never gets finished, and I did not want that to happen. Okay, so here she is. So, you know, it doesn't stand out as much as the yellow did, but I'm okay with it. And like I said in the video clip, it kind of looks like this is one border now. I don't know. It's prettier when you get up close to it and see it. Just through the monitor there, it doesn't, or not monitor, or through the camera there, it's can't really see it that much. I'm going to take it down and show it to you a little bit closer. And I've already got, I got renewed interest in this, obviously. I've got my background, the backing already cut to size, and I have my binding all put together too. So I am ready to go and get that finished. So no, it did not wind up being a UFO, and it will not wind up being a UFO. So glad to get that done. That makes me very happy. I'm just going to take it down so I can talk about the other thing and to show you a little closer up how this went, or how it looks. There you go. See that? It's the spool fabric. I've showed it to you already, but that's what it is. And that's how it came out. it's fine. And I'm good to go with it. I'm going to finish it. No problem. And I'm so over that it goes sideways on the sides. It doesn't matter. That's not as critical as the yellow thing was. I don't think that's going to stand out whatsoever as being wrong or anything like that. A lot of print fabric goes in different ways, so that is ready to go. Put that back in my project box for that. And I'm so happy I went ahead and got the backing ready and the binding too. All right, this beast back here. This is my commission job I have. And this, I probably spent about 5 hours just cutting the fabric over several days over the last couple weeks. And putting it together was not anything horrible. And like I said in my Instagram when I put this out, this is very modern. It's not my style at all, but I'm very happy with it. And I also have my backing ready to go. It's cut to size and ready to go. And I had to get some fabric for the back. I'm going to use, in the bobbin, I'm going to use the backing fabric color. And then on the front, I'm going to quilt lines in black over the black and in white over the white. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. If I'm going to do it just a little bit of space around each one and inside and then back around. Now these I will have to put some more lines here and down. But let me get the backing fabric and I'll show you what that looks like. I don't think I've shown you this because I was waiting for it to come in from somewhere. So this is the backing. Kind of a caramel gold color. And it actually has hedgehogs on it. I don't know if you can tell. It has hedgehogs and a little ferny leaf and 3 little dots. So it's a pretty color with this black and white. And then here's my thread that I got. It's called brass, I think. It's an Arfil thread. I use that in my bobbin so that it won't show up on this very much. So I'm going to get that done this weekend. At least the basting and the quilting. I may not get the binding done, but I'm going to do everything I can to focus my energy on getting this done. I told her 2 weeks, and this weekend will be 2 weeks, so at least I'll be close if nothing happens. All right, so now it's time to talk about some of your all's projects. There's several, so I need to get going here. See if I can get them in order here too. All right. Amanda Harvey. Amanda Harvey has several projects that she has done. And here's what she says. Hello, I finally have something to show for Finish It Fridays. I am sewing with friends for the weekend, so I started out by finishing a few things. I had to add borders to the Christmas tree and bucru and applique the stars on the patriotic quilt. The pink Christmas tree was a kit that all of us bought when we went to Paducah for the quilt show. I participated with Pat Sloan and Fat Quarter Shop in the Boo Crew Quilt Along. It was fun to make. The pattern for the patriotic wall hanging showed red and white stripes for the bottom of the flag, but I used leftover fabrics from another patriotic quilt I made last year. I had fused the stars down, but forgot to applique them down. One little detail missed there. All right, so she's got 3 here. This kind of peachy pinky color on that tree, and then I've seen this Boo Crew thing that they did. That cat's cute. And then the red, white, and blue top there that you did. So you did get busy before you had to go and sew with your friends there. So you got a lot done. Great. Feels so good to get things finished, especially when you've got 2 or 3 like that in 1 week. Okay, Dolores sent us something. It is her scrappy table topper. Yes. She didn't get this in time for the last video because I usually film those on Thursday, and so if somebody sends me a picture on Thursday night, it's Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, it's not going to get in till the following week, but I will show it. So here's the pic of my scrappy table topper made with 2.5-inch scrap squares, batting, backing, and binding. Love black and white together. As you can see, this is my first black and white quilt, but I would like to make a more calico one for myself. All right, very good job, Dolores. I love it. Let's see. Diane Huffman. She says she's been quilting for a few years and enjoys the quilt as you go method. She made this quilt for a very good friend, more like a sister, that she's known since 1959. I would say so. She's like family. The fabric is a batik in blue and green prints from Etsy, and she wanted to arrange them in a way instead of the typical diamond used. She found this layout on the internet and fell in love with it. And if you look at that, it kind of looks like a heart that's been echoed. And so, it's a little more interesting than just that diamond shape that you do with that. And you'd never know that was quilt as you go. It turned out lovely, and I love greens and blues together. You know how I love greens and blues together. So I love this. And batik, you can't go wrong with batik. Great job, Diane. Lori, she says, this is my Labor Day weekend project. It's a kit called Flat Iron by the tattooed quilter Christopher Thompson and Riley Blake Designs, and it's 20 by 20. My husband loves the colors, so it's his. I may make it again in pinks, black, and white. I decided I like working with small pieces, so I ordered Harriet's Journey. Yay! All right. She says she had a lesson learned on this. To enjoy yourself. And when the rotary cutter chews up the fabric, change the blade. Yes, we've all learned that lesson, I'm sure, if we've been sewing for any amount of time at all. I love that brown shade configuration because I think I told her in the email return that it reminds me of a wooden barn quilt that they make. And you can hang it on your wall in your house, but it's made out of wood, and hers is made out of fabric. Great job. Love it. Diane, a different Diane. This was her Labor Day finish. The background is scrappy, and then she attached the hot air balloons fabrics onto it. The binding is from a men's shirt that she deconstructed. And there it is. I like it. It's the sky. It's got birds, and it's got hot air balloons. Very creative. I love those balloons. They're very kind of old-timey looking. I like them. Cute job. Ernest Sewell. He did something by the Nine Sisters. Oh, it's called Nine Sisters by Cozy Quilt Designs. Donna Jordan did it a couple years ago. And he said he knew he would do that one day. He always knew he would do that. Said he got tired of black and white backgrounds and wanted a navy fabric. This pretty royal blue is all I could find. It reads denim, but it's not. I think it works really well with the floral jelly roll. It's Scarlet's Garden by Debbie Beeves for Robert Kaufman Fabrics. I also wanted it to not read as holiday since it's not, and the blue helped with that. And I had spoken with him on this idea before he finished it, before he even got started, about using the blue, the navy blue. I said, well, if there's going to be navy blue, you can't have any black in there. I said, not a speck of black if you use a navy blue. Well, as it turns out, the blue that he got is not navy blue. It's more of a royal blue like what I have on. So it really wouldn't have mattered if there was black in there or not. But there's just a teeny tiny speck of black on there on the paisleys. There's a fabric in there that has paisleys on it, and it has a little black rim around it. So anyway, he said, and there's not one speck of black in the quilt per Sherry McGill. Bossy. And he says, I guess it could be a new version of the old and popular red and green quilts from 170 years ago. It could. It fits in that category. It's about 68 inches square since he kept the borders small. And it's a great throw. And if you notice on the binding, he threw a strip of striped fabric on each side in the middle of the binding. And that, I think that just really does something for that quilt too. I like how you thought to do that. Very creative. And I love the quilt, of course, as usual. He did that in, I don't know, I think he said if you added all the hours up together, it'd be about 24 hours from start to finish. Cutting to binding. I don't know how he does it. I don't think he sleeps or eats or anything like that. Okay, I have to think who this is. Carol. Oh, this red, white, and blue quilt that she did. She says, I just finished a Quilt of Valor quilt. You've heard of Quilt of Valor quilts. They look like this. And it's for her husband who served in the Army in the Vietnam War. It measures 80 by 80, so it's a nice size throw. I think 80 by 80 is a nice size bed quilt. The stars measure 4 inches finished, and there are 56 of them. Wow, really? Oh, yes, there is. I didn't think about the little white ones all around the edges. Okay, and says she will not be making any stars in the near future. The pattern for the star blocks came from Doug Lico's Table-tastic 3 Table Runners book. And she said she free motion quilted it with swirls and stars, and she's pleased with the way it came out. I think you should be. And I'm sure he's thrilled with that too. And she makes wonderful labels for her quilt, if you can see that there. Okay, our second Diane that I mentioned, she sent me 2 emails, and I've already talked about one of them. But this is this real scrappy one with the blue borders all in it. This was a leftover project from Darlene Michaud quilt along, I guess, or sew along, and she got it finished, so she wanted to share that. Love me a scrappy quilt. Good job. And that looks like it. So that was quite a lot to share there, and I thank everyone for sending their work in. We love to see it, and it gives us a lot of ideas about color and design, and we just like to see what everybody else is doing. And you guys would get bored with all my projects, so we like to invite you to send yours too. So I'm going to get working on this right away and knock that out so I can get to some more projects I've got going on here. So have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye!